Today I want to talk about an issue that affects all of us.
As the sun goes.
Good afternoon, my fellow security officers. I hope you're having a great day. I'm on my way into my shift right now, and I wanted to talk about something that affects pretty much every night guard and sometimes the day shift as well. And that is the issue of sleep and how to stay awake on your shift. Pretty much every single guard I've ever talked to has mentioned at some time or another they've had an issue with staying awake. And so I'd like to address, a few things to help with that. The first one, and the absolute most important thing, is that there is absolutely no substitute for regular sleep at all. That is key, and it is said that the average person should get 6 to 8 hours of sleep and each night, and that is very important for our bodies. Now, if you are feeling a little sleepy, there are some things I wanted to go into as far as stimulants are. But before I do that, let's talk about getting sleep. And I know a lot of people are tempted to take sleep aids, and I want to go over a few of those. The first sleep aid that comes to mind is everybody seems to think melatonin is a good option, and it does have its place. However, it is technically not a sleep aid. Melatonin is a naturally occurring substance in your body that is triggered when the sun goes down, and it actually puts your body into a state of quiet wakefulness or calm wakefulness, and it starts to prepare your body for when it's time to go to bed. But it doesn't actually put you to sleep. And a lot of people like to try to take more and more, double up on the dose, and it's actually recommended to go less is more on that. 1 to 3 milligrams is the recommended amount for an adult. And really all it does is it starts to set your body's clock. So if you are starting a new night shift, perfect time to start using that melatonin is 2 hours before you actually plan to go to bed. And that's to help get your body regulated and used to sleeping at a certain time, especially when the sun's not going down. You can artificially start that process. Once you've started on the melatonin, it's advised to stay away from your cell phones and your laptops, because the blue and green lights that is emanated from your screens actually neutralizes the effects of melatonin. So keep that in mind. Moving on to another sleep aid, Benadryl or some of the other variants that contain diphenhydramine, they're labeled as a sleep aid. Yes, they actually make you drowsy and they put you to sleep. However, and this is a big however, there are a lot of side effects, and these side effects are not desirable. The first one is that if you do use Benadryl or diphenhydramine to sleep, you are not going to get a good night's sleep, because it does prevent you from going into deep sleep or REM sleep, and that's what really gives you the sense of refreshment after sleeping, and it's going to prevent you from being able to go into that state of sleep. So when you wake up, you're not going to feel quite rested. And another side effect is that it does cause hangover and cognitive decline, and it's been shown in studies to actually be a trigger for dementia as well. So it's not the greatest thing to rely on. Studies also show that after 4 consecutive days of use, that diphenhydramine or Benadryl has the same effect as a placebo, aka it has zero effect. Your body builds a tolerance to it after 4 days, and then you have to really let it flush out of your body before it becomes effective again. If you do use diphenhydramine, use it sparingly and use it minimally. I'm going to provide some links down in the description to some of the websites, like Johns Hopkins Medical Center that talks about melatonin, and give you some information on the diphenhydramine, just so you can look it up for yourself. Let's talk about stimulants. So you're at the job site and you're starting to feel a little sleepy. What do? And the first thing that pops into most people's minds, I think, is caffeine. Either coffee, soda, or energy drinks. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm guilty of all those, and they are not a good option. It will at least anything that has sugar in it, and caffeine in general is can be kind of tricky. If you take too much caffeine, like the amounts that are found in a lot of these energy drinks, it can actually have the reverse effect, because it does accumulate in the body and triggers other parts of your body to actually start sleeping. And so you can get very, very sleepy or crash really hard on an energy drink, and it's counterproductive to what you're trying to accomplish. So moving on to other stimulants, sugar. A lot of people like to snack on sugar or candy, and yes, it does boost you up. It does give you some energy. However, what happens when you eat sugar is that sugar goes into your blood, and then your body produces insulin to allow your cells to absorb that sugar out of the blood. And this is such an intensive process that it will actually leave you pretty exhausted, and you crash from it. You get very tired, and then you end up wanting to go to sleep because you're exhausted from the sugar. And so energy drinks can hit you double time in both ways. You take too much caffeine and you crash off that sugar. Your body's wanting to sleep, plus you're crashing off of sugar. And I found that toward the end of a 12-hour shift, that last hour after an energy drink, was really rough. I become delirious. I really have to fight to stay awake. Once my shift is over, I find that I have to take a nap in my car before I drive because I'm too tired. So I've actually cut energy drinks out of my diet for that reason, and I feel so much better. I'm actually more alert, more awake now. The caffeine was just getting to be too much. If you want to have coffee, just like Sean said in another video at a security and investigative security channel, he mentioned that if you're going to have coffee, drink it black, and I agree with that statement. The sugar in coffee will have that same effect, cause you to crash. Don't drink too much coffee. Less is more. And if you can wean yourself off of caffeine and only use it when necessary, you're even better off. So let's talk about your meals while you're on your shift. I would highly suggest you avoid any sugars or carbs for the same reason. Those carbs will cause your blood sugar to spike, and consequently you will crash and become very tired. One thing you can do to stay awake is to be active. If you have a position where you're posted up and you have to do a patrol route, let's pick up the pace a little bit. Walk a little faster, maybe move your arms a little more, do a power walk. And this will get your heart rate up, get your respiration rates up, and this will release a little serotonin into your system, and that will pick your mood up, and you will be more alert and more awake. If you feel yourself start to slip back into the sleepy state, do an extra route, do an extra patrol, stay on top of things. But if you keep moving, you will stay awake. Even if you do become very tired, you will still be able to stay awake just by the fact that you're moving around. Some of the foods that I do recommend that you eat while on your shift and before your shift are foods that are high in protein and some fatty foods. Fats are actually a long-term energy, and so those will stick with you, unlike sugars, which tend to burn pretty fast and they may cause you to crash. The fats will give you a more longer sustained energy. The proteins will also give you some sustained energy. So I would stick with a high protein diet while you're working and before your shift, and that will give you a much more energy to get through your shift. So in conclusion, if at all possible, stick to a sleep schedule. Get your sleep. There is no substitution to good sleep. On a side note, if you have trouble sleeping due to light, you can black out your room, or if blacking out your room is not an option, you can go online, and I believe I saw on Walmart website, you can buy a blackout canopy that's sized for your bed. And it's basically a tent that goes around your bed that's completely black, so you can get your sleep. So check that out. I think it was around 120 bucks, vary in price depending on what size you get. But that's a good option for those of you who can't or don't have the option of blacking out your windows. Avoid sugary foods, avoid carbs, avoid energy drinks. If you must do caffeine, black coffee, green tea, black tea. You can also do caffeine supplements, but just remember, less is more. Don't overdo it. You do too much caffeine and you are going to end up having the reverse effect, which is falling asleep. If you do decide to use any sleep aids, use them sparingly. I would highly recommend you do not use them all the time. In fact, I recommend trying to avoid them altogether. Melatonin being an exception if you are trying to reset your body's sleep cycles, and especially if you're switching shifts from a day shift to a night shift, that will help you make your body adjust a little better. It helps you get your body on track to avoid insomnia, especially if you are flipping your sleep schedule completely in the opposite direction. For example, sleeping in the daytime, you can trigger your body to get your body's clock to be accustomed to sleeping in the daytime. So I hope this video helped you out. If it helped you learn something, if you've got any input, feel free to throw it in the comments there. I do appreciate your comments. I do look forward to seeing what other people's views and opinions are. If you have any ideas, or if you think, let's have a discussion. What do you guys do to stay awake? Let me hear your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and like, comment, and share. Thank you much.